Hey, everybody there. Welcome to the Upper Room with Eugene. I'm obviously Eugene, and I'm welcoming you here to the Upper Room where we talk about what's going on in our worlds today and the things that we can do, the principles that we can use to navigate this thing called life. And today I'm really excited, as I am every week, but I'm also excited because this week my special guest is a good, dear old friend of mine, my brother, the Reverend Charles Hall. Reverend Charles Hall, me and Reverend Charles and I met 20-something years ago, and then he went off to start his own center from scratch called Genesis, which I believe was in Seattle, Washington. All I can tell you is that my brother here is grounded and steeped in truth. So we're going to have this beautiful conversation about life, this thing called life. Woo-wee. And again, welcome to the Upper Room. What's up, CWH?
Deuces, peace. What's going on?
Oh, man. Just another day, man. Just another day. A beautiful day, actually. So, Charles, I want the audience to get just to know just a little bit about you before we dive into this, because I did not read your bio. I figured you'd be the best one to bio yourself.
I've lived it.
Exactly. Yeah. Who are you?
Who am I? First of all, I'm really grateful to be here with you, to be on this screen next to your face. It stops right there, but I just want to reach over and just rub that head. Really grateful to be here with you and for the opportunity did you switch it up now?
Yeah, I did.
To be here with you and to share this time, it's humbling and wonderful, and I'm very grateful. And my name's Charles. I am basically a retired minister. I became a minister. There's my name. In my early 20s. There it is. Became a minister in my early 20s, and just for most of my life have felt a sense of sensitivity, I guess you could say, to what's more than just the human existence, to the spirit, to God. And I've wanted to share that with people, and that has changed. And I've gone through a bunch of revolutions in my life over the past 10 years or so, which brings me to today, where I feel even more sensitive and more in touch with the spirit. And so I'm grateful to just have this opportunity to be more humble and more in my heart than I've ever been, and to share the walk with all of us, because it's a wild ride, baby. It's wild. And if I may, just for a moment, talk about our roots, because I have to do this. Is that all right? So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I moved to LA in October of 2002. And I shortly thereafter met Eugene and found out that he was, what are you, a 45th degree black belt in Kung Fu? Something just like that.
Ninth degree.
Ninth?
Just nine.
But just nine, which I don't even think it gets any higher than that, does it? I mean, anyway.
Depending on the art. Yeah, depending on the art.
So I said, will you come and do private workouts with me? And I'm 27 at the time. I think I'd maybe just turned 28. And I said, will you come do private workouts with me? So I'm still feeling young and spry. And, this is 21, 22 years ago. And Eugene comes into my apartment right near Venice High School in Los Angeles. And we do private works. I move all my furniture to the sides to create this jam in my little living room. And for an hour, Eugene, we do this workout he takes me through. And after the first couple of times I had to go to work, I told him, I'd see him a little bit later on in the week. I said, man, after those workouts, I would go to the bathroom to brush my teeth. And I'd be leaning over the sink to brush my teeth and rinse my mouth out. I'd be shaking like this, my whole body, because I was in so much pain from those workouts. Oh, like I'm lightheaded from laughing so hard. So you come in and work me out in my living room with Kung Fu. And that was my trial by fire. That's how I first met Eugene, the 9th degree Kung Fu black belts. Beautiful times, man.
Yeah, some great times, some great times.
Man.
I've been in the art, and I still work out now. Yeah, as I like to say, I'm still kicking, just not so high. Kick you in your knee, or the ankle. But here's the thing I love about the art is, and this is any art, right? But for me, it's about, the martial arts touches on all three aspects of our lives. The physical aspect, of course, the mental and emotional, because it's like I'm sitting there shaking, but let me keep going. But also the spiritual aspect, because the martial arts was not really designed to go out and beat up people or to fight people. What it's really designed for is to learn more about yourself. Now, and then of course they use that to defend those who could not defend themselves. But it's really about, okay, how do I become a better person? When I got my first degree black belt, my Sifu said, now is the time that you start. They made it. Now is when you start. I'm like, I've been with you for 10 years, because it took me that long to get my black belt. Right? And I was in class consistently, but I was so blessed to be aligned with someone who taught traditional Kung Fu. Traditional, man, it was great, man. That was some time, but anyway, and it's because of the art that has me here. The other thing about the art is it especially the Tai Chi, which we didn't get a chance to do, but the Tai Chi touches upon all those three things that I said, but also it's a practice of oneness. Everything moves as one, and everything is connected. And we learn that everything that you put your eye on is connected. We are all one. Right?
Yes, we are. There was no way we were going to get to the Tai Chi, Sifu, because I couldn't get past the Kung Fu. I couldn't move after that. All right. So the oneness will have to wait, brother.
The oneness is happening in a different way.
That's right. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, man. So Charles, I usually ask my guests, this question, as I had mentioned before we went live, is, there seems to be a lot of stress and strife going on in the world. And I usually ask you, so what do you think what do you think brought that on? And a couple of my guests have said that, well, stress and strife has been around since, mankind. So let me ask the question this way. Because there's so much stuff going on, especially these days, why do you think that we continue to go through this craziness?
The illusion. We're caught up in the illusion. Paramahansa Yogananda would say that the biggest sin, the greatest mistake we participate in is ignorance. We keep doing it because we're ignorant of our real nature. And not enough of us, what we have to continue to do is practice our spiritual nature. It's spiritual practice, but it's not just throwing words at it. It's time and meditation. And that's an incredibly challenging thing to do when there's so much seduction in the world from our senses. What I can see, what I can smell, what I can taste, what I can touch. It's seductive. And so we get caught up in playing out the drama of being a human being, which is wonderful and good. But oftentimes we're not balancing it enough with the time of meditation, the time of practice, the time of closing all of the outward senses down and turning our attention to the inside to meditate. And there's a lot of talk about meditation out there and mindfulness. It's very popular right now. It's part of pop culture. But oftentimes it doesn't address the depth at which we need to practice it.
Right.
So as long as we're continuing to be more interested in the drama of the drama, then we're going to keep replaying these things out. I mean, part of it is that it is seductive. We get seduced by the drama, the news and all that kind of stuff, and just down the street, why Mrs. Jones, stole a stick of butter out of Mrs. Johnson's fridge and whoo, yeah, give me some popcorn. I want to hear that story, So we feed off of it, but we're going to keep playing it out to the extent that we're not taking time to really dive down deep into our own spiritual vision.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. One of our teachers, Reverend Michael Beckwith, I remember hearing him say, let's not get caught up by the weapons of mass distraction, right? Distracting us from, but like you said, our spiritual selves. And it's interesting in that, you speak about the practice of meditation because that's so important. In my blogs, I have mentioned it, especially the last two, mentioned it more and more, and you're right, man, that from my perspective, from what I've seen, we don't, as you said, talk about the depth of what that really is. And it does take time and effort, which, by the way, my brother, is the definition of Kung Fu, time and effort.
Love that. And it's a discipline and a practice, right? You don't get to 9th degree by just phoning it in.
Right.
Or just talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not, when you talk about meditation, it doesn't sound as interesting as let's go to the movies.
Right.
It doesn't sound as interesting as let's go to the gym and play ball, or, let's go to the Grand Canyon. That's because, again, this is the vision that what I can see with my eyes and my senses becomes the end game, rather than through the practice of meditation, you start to see inwardly new things that become even more fascinating than all these other things that seem more interesting now, but you only know through doing it. We can sit here and chop it up and talk about it all day, but to folks that are listening, you just got to try it, get a book, not just some chump who's talking about meditation to sell 1 million copies. It's like someone who's, like someone from a lineage, like your lineage of someone that you practice Kung Fu with, like a lineage of somebody that comes from people that have been meditating for thousands of years. Get that book.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then not only read it and get whatever the practices are, and then practice.
Yeah. That's the thing you got to practice. That's right. It's just, the book is just the information.
Right.
It's like having a coach that says, this is how you dribble,
Right.
And then you got to run up and down the gym with the ball in your hand dribbling.
Right.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to, hit it off your foot. It's going to fly over there. But what do you got to do? You got to go run. You got to get the ball. You pick it up and you start dribbling again.
Right. Right. Yeah. I have clients who I sometimes, I've had clients in the past where I would recommend, the spiritual practice of meditation. Well, no, I can't do that because I just can't. I can't calm my mind down, to sit for, 20 minutes. Don't start with 20 minutes. How about a minute?
Whatever. Absolutely.
Right? How about 5? And the reason why I'm glad you brought this particular practice up is because once more and more people start to do that and go within and feel within, then we start to recognize that what is without there is a part of the within.
Absolutely. You see it differently. You interact with all of it differently.
Right. Right. It's like, oh, you're a part of me. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're a part of me. I remember, this goes back years. I was meditating with a group of guys, and there was a dog barking outside, and I can feel the vibration of the bark. And I came out of the meditation, was like, now that was an interesting experience where I could feel the vibration on my body. Yeah.
That's when you're dialed in. You have a sensitivity to things, right?
Right.
I also like to folks that are working on getting into meditation. I also I liken it to like when you take a kid to a park. To just take a kid to a park and then say, sit on that bench and behave. It's unnatural. It's near impossible. So just to sit down and tell your brain not to think is almost impossible. There's got to be a mechanism to start training it. But if I can take that kid to a park, my kid to a park, and guide it to a game or to lead it lead its attention to something. Hey, let's play with the ball. Let's climb this spider thing. Let's get on the swings. Then we can get into a practice of focus, of mind focus. And that's what we can do in meditation as well, is bring our attention to like some sort of mind focus that we can bring our attention to that isn't just all the stimulus that's everywhere, but we bring it to a focus, to a disciplined attention.
But
it's not easy.
What's that?
Not easy.
Right. Well,
worthy.
It takes the willingness, right?
That's right.
So I was going to play this role and say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Charles, but I just don't have time. I'm too busy.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't. People make that story up. It's a story we make up to be involved in the drama of our life. Right. It's just not so. I mean, I don't know. I know there are probably people out there that have 8 kids that are listening, and I have compassion. I'm not trying to be cold, but I don't have time as a story we make. If we're doing things against having a better life, it's time to make up a new story. You can find time somewhere. Right. And meditation doesn't have to be, it's not the sit down in the lotus position and try, everything's good. Lock yourself in the bathroom door for 1 minute and take 60 seconds worth of focused, deep breaths and find out how rejuvenating that is.
Boom, done.
Yeah, I'm not trying. It's like I don't have enough time. You're the CEO of, the universe, and you've got, I don't buy it. You can find time,
right?
Somehow,
right. You can always find time.
If you feel something that was going to transform your life for the better and make it more extraordinary, where you're going to find more peace, more joy, less anxiety, et cetera, would you find time? The only reason you wouldn't is if you have what is it? Masochism. It's you just got this self-punishment tape you keep rolling. It's time to heal it.
And this is just as deep and as insidious, right? Addicted.
Absolutely.
Right. It's interesting, man, to come across people, that it's not so much being addicted to the drugs and the alcohol and all of that and the shopping, but addicted to the drama.
You bet.
Now, see, that's a drug here in the USA that we don't talk about. Yeah. The drug of drama. Yeah.
The drug. You get some, we feel something, right? We feel alive. There was a number of things that we feel involved, the drama, we feel involved in it. So it takes care of the acknowledgement. We all want to be acknowledged. We all want to be seen. We feel involved. We feel, that kind of adrenaline rush. We feel like either better than or less than, there's all sorts of things we get from it. But that's the only world we know if we haven't taken time to start engaging our spiritual vision, to start engaging our spiritual practice, start seeing vistas that we never dreamed of before out of that practice that trump all those other things big time.
Right. Yeah, truly. And that addiction to drama, is also the catalyst to separation. Right. Because if I'm focused on this drama over here, politics, for example, and this party's doing that and that party's doing this. Well, that drama that goes on in just that realm is such a divisive, it's such a tool for separation. Right. Which then I can't meditate because I need to catch what CNN is saying about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. Once I begin to meditate and come into the within, man, now I can see everybody is really wanting the same thing because we all do want the same thing. And that's just not, having food and shelter and clean water. We're talking about everybody wants to love and be loved.
Yeah.
If we can stop there.
Yep. Well, absolutely. Right? There are practices and habits one can start to not play that game. Like I don't if I want to find out what's going on politically, I'll do my best to research and find as neutral a source as possible. Well, that's just laying out information,
Right.
not that's juiced with, that's on friggin' steroids of opinion and this and that. Just what's out there with the information that's out there, and don't get caught up in the game. And again, it's a habit you have to form to just pull your attention away from the game. I mean, there's people that are close to me, that I in my family that I catch up with and check in on, and I saw this on the news and this on the news, and it truly, and I know we talk about the news and bashing it and this and that, but it does inform people's lives where it just creates fear.
Right.
It just a tremendous amount of fear, and then they go out there and live it, and I just don't listen to it. I mean, I know that's kind of it doesn't make you afraid if you don't have the stimulus coming into you. I got other things to be afraid of, like, am I doing my best as a dad to raise a good daughter? Those are the kind of things I want to have my attention, not all this other bullshit that's out there. So much bullshit. Can I say that, Eugene? It's just
you did twice. It's okay.
I did. Can't go back to that.
So don't ask me if you can. You already did.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission. Anyway,
but you're right. Keep going.
Yeah,
There's so much bullshit out there. Keep going.
There's just it's well, I hem myself up there when I turn the editor on, but it's how do I create a mechanism inside of myself that can distinguish the bullshit from the non-bullshit.
Right.
And part of that is spiritual practice, and part of that too is like, if I'm feeling more afraid, there's just a mechanism, like if I'm feeling more afraid and more anxious and more depressed and my energy's down and I don't even want to talk to my neighbors anymore. I don't even want to look at this guy. I don't even want to interact with the person at the grocery store because I'm so self-aware and afraid and of being canceled and all this other bullshit that's out there. Then like, man, I got to adjust what's coming in here, man. I got to adjust what I'm taking into what I'm metabolizing from a mental and spiritual and emotional standpoint. Because what do I want? We want to be loved and be loved, right, Eugene? We also want to feel vital and alive and energized and like we're making a contribution and that we're participating with our neighbors. And I want to feel like I'm making some sort of empowered contribution to my community. And I want to feel like I can stand tall and move about my life being unafraid and that my without financial worry and without worry for my children. And how do I do that? Well, I'm not going to do that by continuing to be informed by all the lack monsters and the fear monsters out there, right? I'm going to do that by practicing the idea that I live within an infinite universe and that there's infinite possibility. I'm going to do that by being in conversation with men like you about possibility and about goodness and about love and about joy. That starts to give me life. That makes my backbone feel erect. That makes me stand up tall. There's in one of Dr. King's speeches, I think it's I've been to the mountaintop speech. One of the lines that stands out, it's just a small line, but he says it with such power and conviction. He says in one point while he's kind of ramping up, he says, we want to be free. We want to be free. And that's what we want, man. We want to be free.
Right. And here's the thing, right? We want to be what we were born to be.
There it is.
We want to be what we were already created to be. I came across a reading that reminded me of that. It said we are to be what the Creator created us to be free. To be free to be myself, to be free to spread joy, to be free to receive joy.
That's right.
To be free to be my authentic, crazy ass self, steeped in spirit.
That's right.
Steeped in spirit. Came across something, a reminder today, right? That I am seeking myself. I am who I am seeking, pretending to be the seeker.
Yep.
I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah. It's all that journey we're taking to find something out there is going to it's going to lead right back here.
Right.
We go
Right.
out there, the world over, this ashram and that temple and this church and that relationship and that food and that drug. And then it's a bam.
It all comes
going to lead, baby. So we might as well get busy working on this right now and then have that inform my next relationship.
Right. Right.
Yeah, word.
Exactly.
I love that, brother. I love that.
How do I attract the relationship that I want? Be the relationship.
It's all. Yep. I a long time ago, I heard the only relationship we have is the one with ourselves.
Yeah.
Everything else is a projection from there. Everything else flows out of that. So I'm pissed off at you. I got the pissed off going right here, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm upset with that person. I mean, this is my upset. I'm in love. I'm in joy. The sex was great. Whatever. It's like this is it. And then it all flows from there, man. So I gotta tend to this garden, baby.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Let me tend to this garden. Because there's nothing else. Because nobody else can tend to this garden. I was doing the talk and somebody said, because I love me some Eugene. After the talk, somebody said, how can you say that? And she almost in that, how dare you say that? How do you say, how you can't say that? But if I don't love me, nobody else can.
Yeah. But and also, don't we all want to have that experience of ourselves? Like, I like who I am, man.
I love who I am.
Listen, everybody listening, anybody don't you want that? Like, don't you want to be able to sit down and take a deep breath and go, I'm actually comfortable in this skin.
Right.
I love that. I love who you are too, brother.
Oh, it's okay, man. It's all right. I love you regardless.
I love who you are too.
Yeah. In the loving self, right? No matter what, unconditional love, which means to me that I love you no matter what you say or don't say, no matter what you do or don't do, right? Scripture says, great teacher, what's the greatest commandment? Said there are two of them: to love God with everything that you have, that you are, and then to love your neighbor as you love yourself. These are the two commandments, right? I love the way that is put, because the second is like unto the first, to love your neighbor as you love yourself, meaning that I'm to love my neighbor the way I love me. And my neighbor is not necessarily the person that lives next door. It's that person that may push my button. But then I take it a little further, Charles, and I ask, okay, I'm to love them the way I love me, but how much do I love me? Do I love myself unconditionally? Do I love myself to let me off of the hook about the mistakes that I may have made? Yeah. Do I love me? Yeah, baby, I do. Everything about me. I love every little thing about me, right? Which allows me to love everything about you.
Yeah. And that is, I'm still working on that one, brother. That's a long journey, because I've done some stupid shit in my life. I have hurt people. I've made mistakes. I've had to stare my shame right in the face, man. And that is a hard thing to do. Whew. It's a hard thing to do. So to look at that stuff and actually go through that process of forgiveness, of coming back to a self-love, it's a wild walk, man. It's deep.
Yeah, it is.
But it does reveal a profoundly deep love, right? That, because we've walked through stuff, man. We've made mistakes, to do that in this humanity is it's a deep walk. So to be able to get to that point and say, I can bring it all in here into the storehouse of my heart and look at it and love it into purpose, into purposefulness, is a beautiful thing, man. And what you bring up is a worthy practice, man, to keep loving ourselves as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. back in the early 2000s, back in LA.
Back right here. Back.
Yeah, back.
Then I can't brush my teeth. Yeah.
I had the experience of I sabotaged this relationship with this woman, not once but twice. The first time, and then it happened, and we split up, and then a year goes by, and then we get back together for however long, and then I ran again. It was that time, Charles. I'm like, okay, dude, you need to look at self, to ask yourself, why are you afraid to be loved? Because this woman loved me for who I was, and that scared me. But that second time, when I ran, and I didn't walk away from it, I ran, right? Had me go, dude, you need to stop. You need to find out what's happening within you. What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid to be loved? You're worthy. Don't you think you are? So you're right. And that was hard. In fact, I'm still doing that. Every once in a while, at least 2 or 3 times a week, I look in the mirror and go, dude, I love you. I have on my email right after I sign off. You got to talk to yourself like you're in love. ... with yourself. Yeah, which I got from this song. Yeah, man. But so that takes us back to the distraction, right? From the meditation, because the meditation will bring us back to who we are, and then we get to love ourselves. So maybe a part of the evil plan is to keep us distracted from loving who we are, because once we start to love who we are and then start seeing through the eyes of love, or the eye of love, seeing that everybody else is the same.
Yeah, well, we're all I'm grateful and blessed to have traveled a bit around the world, and one of the things I found is that we are all human beings doing the human thing, just in the context of a different culture.
Right.
Different customs, different ways of doing it, different foods, things like that. But we're all doing it. And as a human being, you touched on a little bit earlier too, we've got that something inside of us it's a yearning. There's a yearning for connection and love, and to remember, to be free, to these things that we want to experience. And we're all out there doing it, man, and we're all out there working on it. And if we can, the idea of oneness is a challenging one for me in the midst of spirituality, because whether we aware it or not, we all exist within this thing, life, capital L life. We're all here doing it. And one of the great illusions is that we're not. And one of the great fruits of spiritual practice is to realize that, like you said, the second commandment, to love your brother as yourself, to work on, as I'm working on loving this guy, I can work on loving you more. And then that whole thing of oneness comes up. But we talk a lot about oneness, and there's not a lot of practice of it. There's really not a lot of, there's a lot of talk about we are one, and we're meant to be one. And it just sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. It's like, okay, am I really digging down into practicing that? And I gotta, it's a hard one, man, because I don't even know what to say about it. Let's just keep working on it. Let's keep working on it. What I do know is this, because scientists have told me and other people have told me that there's enough food for everybody to eat if we can just get good at sharing.
Right.
That there's enough resources for everybody to have their needs met. If we just get good at sharing. I've been told that, and I believe it.
Right.
And I think that's something we need to work on as a human family, is getting good at sharing more, so that people got a roof on their head, they have care. And what I know is that I have enough love to share to not have that person down the street feel ostracized or alienated.
Right.
To have them feel a part of my heart too. So I know that's enough of a resource that I have. So yeah.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah, that's what's up.
In the upper room. in the upper
that's
room.
what's up in the upper room, baby. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Go to the app.
where we take it and look at it from the upper room, coming to the upper room. And that upper room is really our higher selves, right? You know, that we've talked so much about, and also talked about I'm going to call it the plan to keep us separate from that. However, here, that's what we talk about, wanting to embody our spirituality, to enhance our humanity, embody and embrace who we really are, embody our spirituality, enhancing our humanities, because the world needs us all now.
That's right. What is you mentioned, I'm sorry, would we have to wrap up, or the plan to keep us separate? Like, is there, like, can you unpack that a little bit? How do you mean when you say that? Like,
oh, well, we basically talked about it. See, for me, the news, you know, the weapons of mass distraction, the news that's usually talking about the bad stuff, you know, or did you hear about what Mrs. Jones did, or Mr., you know, Smith, or whatever, right? That has been from my research and stuff, has been so systematically planned to keep the people separate.
In our ignorance.
I mean, you know, we could go on and on, and we'll be back, I'm sure. And religion, the way that it used to be taught and still is taught, is one of those tools that keep people separate. It's interesting to me that Judaism, Islam, and Christianity all talk about the same thing.
That's right.
They're all the same thing, just placed in different cultures, but it's the same thing.
Well, you know what, man, you hit it, and it's going to give an opportunity to kind of to plug myself here real quick.
Please.
I mean, I'm my new endeavor is called Everything But the Church, and it is unpacking. It's all the good stuff minus the church. And, you know, so I've been inside of churches for over 30 years of my life, and I'm still a young whippersnapper. Right. But the reason I basically retired from church is because churches are crazy, man. Inside a church is a wild place. I think there's a lot of things in there that are meant to do good. And then they get caught up in the policies and the procedures and the rules and regulations and the boards and the bylaws and the this and the that. And I'm interested in only bringing the good stuff out, man. And that's everything that we've been talking about.
Right.
So there's an opportunity for people to, that's what I'm up to now, is Everything But the Church. And that's, so be on the lookout. Everything But the Church, removing dogma to reveal love. That's what we're up to.
I wish I could type faster, but that's just how it is.
My website, it's being reconfigured some work's being done on it. So it's not live right now. It should be by the weekend. It's ebthec.com. Everything But the Church, ebthec.com. Folks can go there and get a sense of what's probably over the weekend, of what it's about and what we're up to. It's good stuff, man. Everything But the Church.
.com.
Look at that spelling and everything, brother. Come on.
I'm telling you, bro.
The B is supposed to be capitalized and the C is supposed to be capitalized, but the T, you got. Hey. I love you, man.
So it's ebc.com or ebtc.
EB the C, EBTHEC, ebthec.com.
Not just the church, but the Charles.
Everything but the Charles. That's right. Take me out of it as a minister. Right. Man, I learned. That's a whole other conversation, but that's going to be what we're working on unpacking, is just what even happens to the minister when you put a pulpit between a minister and a congregation. Right. It's just all sorts of assumptions are made and all sorts of craziness. And I know it did a number on me, man. It really did. And I've been working on reconciling that and getting healthy and just kind of getting in touch again with what it really means to want to walk the spiritual path with people and help people get back to that freedom. So that's what the work is all about. And I'm humbled by it and proud of it, man. It's good.
Yeah. Good.
Yep.
Man. Good.
Thanks, brother. And I love what you're doing, man. It's just, you're out here doing it. Sifu, man. Here's what I'll tell people about working with you. is that there's going to be a moment where you're standing over the sink and you can barely brush your teeth because Eugene's worked your spiritual soul so hard. But trust me, it's worth it. It's worth it, baby. It's always worth it.
Now, I want to let everybody know that there was a time where I was doing that too, right? Yeah. How come I can't walk?
Man,
is there anything?
Yep.
What's that?
That's the practice, though. You got to go through. You got to do that, right?
That's why they call it a practice. Man, let me put on this music so we can get out of here, because you and I will keep talking forever.
We'll keep going forever.
So, is there anything, man, that you want the folks to know?
Man, that's love making music right there, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it?
What do you want people to know? Come back, Charles. Come back.
I want people to know. What I want people to know is that you can be free. Just, stay in the conversation. Stay in the conversation of spiritual growth. Stick close to home in the idea that you can be free, vital, and alive. You just got to keep moving in the direction of a life you love and staying in touch with your heart, with your spirit.
Yeah. Cool, man.
That's what's up.
Thank you for being here, my brother. We'll be doing this again.
Cool. I appreciate it.
This again.
Grateful to be with you, and I really appreciate being asked, man. It's been my honor.
Man, absolutely. Everybody, stay tuned for The Upper Room. It comes on every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. You can catch it on Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Peace and blessings.